Hey guys, WhoNeedsMeta here, Cadigan speaking, and coming to you with my competitive Batteryman deck profile. I recently took this deck to locals, and out of 50 people came first, and the final round for the tournament was actually between me and another Batteryman player. So getting right into it, Batteryman 9V is the card you're seeing right now, and that's the card that just came out in Duelist Alliance that makes this deck tick. When summoned, regardless, you can add one Batteryman monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, double this card's attack and defense, which, sounds amazing on paper. This card can only activate this effect once per turn. It's generic for the name, so you can't summon multiples and get the effects off. And during your end phase, it destroys itself. Keep that in mind, but this card has amazing synergy with all the other cards in this deck. Getting on to the best +2 engine I've seen in quite a while is Batteryman Microcell. It's a flip effect monster. When flipped, special 1 level 4 Batteryman monster, right there, from your deck. And after this card has been flipped face up and is destroyed by battle, you can draw 1 card. So essentially the play works as you set this, your opponent attempts to run over it, you flip, special out 9V, search with 9V, and after that resolves, this dies, then you draw. So it replaces itself, gets you a search, and then nets you a draw on top of that. It's probably about as efficient as Gen X Undyne is when you send it Dragoons. It's an amazing value card and helps set up a lot of your plays. One thing to be very mindful of is that you should not always try to be greedy with this card. Even if you just flip it to special out 9V and get a search on your turn, it's not a waste. So try not to be too greedy with this card when using it. The next boss monster for this deck, right here, Batteryman Charger, level 5. This card gains 300 attack and defense for each thunder you have on the field, but its main effect is when normal summoned, you can special 1 Batteryman monster regardless of level from your deck or hand to the field. So you can special out 9V, special out Microcell, you can special out 1 more card that I'm about to show you after this. But in general, it sets up for a lot of your big pushes, and as part of your 1 card 6800 damage push. Very good card. And the card that completes the 6800 damage combo is Fuel Cell. If you control 2 or more Batteryman monsters on the field, you can special this card from your hand. That's not the only way you can special it, it's just an if you can. His other effect is that you can tribute 1 other Batteryman monster on the field besides himself, and then target 1 card your opponent controls and return that card to the hand. So, I'm not going to wait till the end of the deck profile to show you this combo just because of how obvious this should be. But essentially, combo is normal summon Charger, special out 9V, activate 9V's effect, add a Fuel Cell from your deck to your hand, and then you have 2 or more Batteryman monsters on the field. So then proceed to special. That is a total of 6800 damage in the form of 2k, 21, and since there are 3 thunder monsters on the field, including itself, this is at 2700 attack. That is the generic power play for this deck, given an empty board and you not wanting to risk overextending or anything else. That is the classic play. It's very potent, considering that you can jumpstart from 0 to 6800 at minimum with no prior setup. Although, obviously, you will need a tribute for Charger. But I'll show you that there's more than just one way to get that out, and it's not tributing your own monsters. The last Batteryman I run on this deck is 1 copy of Industrial Strength. It's kind of like the deck's Dragon Ruler. You can special this card from your hand by banishing 2 Batteryman monsters from your grave. And then the secondary effect is that you can banish 1 Thunder-type monster in your graveyard and then target 1 monster and 1 spell and trap on the field and then destroy them. It's important to remember that this isn't your opponent's. So if your opponent doesn't control enough cards to fulfill both the monster and the spell and trap, you'll have to designate your own. So keep that in mind. But he's very good in the late game as an out-of-nowhere boss monster at 2600. And for the last 4 monsters I run in the deck, I run 3 Moralltach and 1 Beagalltach. The Artifact engine works very well in this deck as a form of both stun on your opponent's turn and as an additional way to tribute summon your monsters, because you can special out Moralltach with Sanctum, pop a monster on your opponent's side of the field, they pass to you, and then you can just tribute this for a Charger and get your plays going on an empty board. Beagalltach is an engine I was trying out. You don't have to play Beagalltach, but it's another combo card. Now, the MVP spell of the tournament is 3 copies of the Monarchs Stormforth, and this is the other way that you can tribute summon Charger, or any of your other level 5 or higher monsters, which there are quite a lot of. I think 11 out of your 17 monsters in this deck are tribute summonable, so keep that in mind. And that card is very good as non-targeting generic removal that doesn't destroy or send anything by a card effect. Yeah, so when you're going against Shaddolls, you contribute their own monster and it won't get any of their effects. The clause on this card is that you cannot special summon from your extra deck during the turn that you use this, but you hardly ever go into your extra deck in this deck, I'll tell you now. I think I went in about 4 times throughout 8 rounds on my tournament, so this card is almost never a negative for you. The other spells I play are 2 Pot of Duality to boost consistency. You can play 3, but I kind of felt it was cloggy, so I only ran 2. I ran 1 copy of Mystical Space Typhoon, as well as 1 copy of Artifact Ignition. Ignition's only in here because I run Beagalltach. If you don't run Beagalltach, you can get away with just running another MST, or maybe even a double Cyclone. I could play 1 copy of Soul Charge, and for the last spell, I play 1 Book of Moon. Soul Charge is good in the fact that it's a spell, acts as a reborn to get back your 9Vs and search without having to wait a turn for Call the Haunted or something. Onto the traps. 3 Sanctum, probably tied for best trap card in the entire deck, and I'll tell you which one actually is once I get to it, but Sanctum, at 3, you run 4 artifacts, 3 Sanctum, not really any necessary explaining here. It's a great floater card. Other traps, I play 2 Call the Haunted. Has synergy with both the artifacts and with Batteryman 9-Volt. You can summon this on your opponent's end phase, or when they're trying to attack you with something less than 2k. Can absorb an attack and then net you a search, and it'll stick around until your end phase. That's good. Trap Stun, probably the second best trap in this deck, outside of Sanctum, and Vanity's Emptiness. Your deck has a lot of very big beaters, and very big beaters combined with Vanity's Emptiness normally means your opponent's going to have a hard time getting past your field. I think this was a very good meta call against some of the Infernities, the Mermills, the Shaddolls that I played against on my locals tournament that I took this to. Definitely almost going to be guaranteed a staple this format. As my one-ofs, I played 5 one-ofs in the form of 1 Fiendish. Could be Breakthrough if you want. You could always take out Beagalltach for another Fiendish or so. Compulse, Warning, TT, and Bottomless round off my trap lineup. It's a 40-card deck, guys. You can easily modify your spell, your trap lineup. This deck is just the nicest toolbox. You can put out a lot of damage and control the board with just Charger into 9-Volt into Fuel Cell. This deck is fun. So going into the extra deck, which I'm telling you now, you really don't need, but it's here as a formality. Dweller, Emerald, Exciton, Diamond Dire, Paladynamo, Honor Omega is your 4s. I run so many 4s because I run Soul Charge, and 4s are just very, very utility. So you run as many as you can in here. As for the 5s, because you run 7 level 5s in the form of your 4 artifacts and your 3 chargers. Crimson Armor, Ninja, Shark Fortress, Durandal, Volcasaurus, 2 copies of Pleiades. This is the only rank 5 I ended up going into the entire day. And that rounds off the 5s. As I play 1/6 in the form of Bottomless. I went into that once. And Gaia Charger, because you run a lot of rank 5s and 6s. Use this to push for an OTK against a Shadal player who had a set Hedgehog. That rounds off the main and extra, and I really don't think I'm going to go into the side deck for this because it's, you know, pretty pertaining to your personal environment. But I will say for you to remember that this deck can easily side the Unholy Trinity in the form of Soul Drain, Macro, and Defish. It doesn't hurt it at all. They'll all stop you from getting your additional draw off of Microcell. But even then, you're still plussing off of the summon of 9 Volt. So I'd say that's a minor repercussion for stopping your opponent from even playing the game. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you have any comments. Hope you enjoyed it.